I am Barbara. I'm married and 32 years old. The joy of eating has awakened in me from childhood. I was fed by my adoring grandmother, who thought it was cute to see me eat. Even before I completed elementary school, I had grown into a body that was comparable to an adult's. I didn't force myself to diet, though. Instead, I kept eating because it made me happy. Boys used to make fun of me for my appearance, but my friends loved me for who I was and would grab my arms and say things like, "You look so happy when you're eating." The beef appears to be comforting. I established myself as a healer in society as a result of this. With a nod toward my unwavering love of food, my husband Adam made the proposal, stating, "I want to watch you eat forever." After our marriage, we made the decision to move in with Adam's parents at their request. The house of my in-laws is actually a large, opulent estate that has been passed down through the generations, but with my father-in-law's salary as a public officer and Adam's, keeping it has been difficult. Their relatives vehemently objected to their attempts to sell the property, pleading with us to move in to assist. We consequently moved in together. Because I'm an optimist, I accepted right away, and we were given 2 rooms to begin our lives together. Adam's sister Allie works as a designer and resides in the same home. To be honest, I was surprised at how little she looked like Adam. Adam most likely looks like his father, who is plump because their mother is thin. But when I welcomed Allie, she didn't appear to like me at all. "You two are quite alike," she observed fairly bluntly. "I don't like people who can't control themselves. I do practice self-control. It's just the kind that doesn't involve holding back from eating what I want to," I said, accustomed to such prejudice. My in-laws were laughing so hard they were crying, but Ally was unflappable and shot out, "Don't you think you are bothering others? It is genuinely disagreeable. That might make me see things more narrowly," I responded once more. "I apologize, but I consider it glaucoma prevention training." My reply made Adam laugh heartily, but Ally just went blank and went back to her room. I've been getting seconds at meals ever since we moved in together, but Ally normally eats very little and goes right away. Ally was asking me, "Why don't you eat? Isn't your mother's cuisine delicious?" With a quick look in my direction, Ally shot back, "Because I gained body fat when I measured yesterday." Avoid making unneeded statements. I detest overweight individuals for this reason. You truly aren't that considerate. Then she stormed out, ignoring her mother's cries of, "Ally, apologize," and retreating back to her room. Her mother expressed regret to me by saying, "I'm sorry." She used to enjoy eating as well. I enthusiastically carried on eating and remarked, "Your food is quite tasty." "It's unfortunate," her mother said, beaming. "I've always thought that eating makes people happy. I get along well with my in-laws and Adam in this shared living situation, and I particularly like my mother-in-law's delectable home-cooked meals." "You really eat well. It makes me hungry too," my father-in-law would remark. We had great evening drinks, ate delicious local food, and went to fine restaurants together, all of which contributed to our strong family bond. Except for Ally. She always warns us during meals, saying things like, "I can't handle food with so many calories." "I don't know why people eat at such a late hour. Retain a little bit of yourself." She declines an invitation to eat together, claiming it is awkward to be with someone who is overweight. With a nonchalant demeanor, I say, "Well, if that's how it is, then it can't be helped." Upon our return from our family outing, she becomes irate and asks, "Why would you go out dressed like that?" Amazing. I chuckle and joke. Oops, I got scolded again, and Ally storms back into her room. The family laughs uncontrollably, like they are watching a comedy. Regardless of what I say, it appears like she doesn't think it funny that I feel that the family is united. Then Ally started to offer alternative criticism, asking, "Really, what good is it if the daughter-in-law can't cook? You're excessively spoiled by your parents. When we first moved in, I was able to use a room for work because I could work from home. We had made a deal whereby my mother-in-law would take care of the housework and I would pay the rent. Allie pressed me after I told her this, saying, "You say you're working, but all you do in your room is touch the computer all day. Most likely you're just having fun. Which type of task are you undertaking? Tell me." She said, "See, my family and your brother are the same." When I was unable to respond coherently, "They refused to disclose the details to me. There's no denying that you're not working hard." I couldn't talk about the unique reasons I couldn't tell her. Consequently, she thought I was neat as hell. I'm not easily affected by other people's perceptions, so when Ally dubbed me a lazy, neat wife, I decided to dismiss her comments because I figured, if that's what she wants to think, I'm fine with it. But I never would have predicted the course of events that took place almost a year after we moved in together. Ally declared her engagement to be public. Her fiancé was an elite employee of a large publishing company and a graduate of a prominent private university. She claimed that while working together on a group assignment, she instantly fell in love with him. Ally proudly said, "See, I am different from you," and I genuinely praised her, saying, "That's wonderful." Due to a significant work commitment, I was unable to see him in person at the family introduction, but the picture Adam brought back revealed a really attractive young man, and together they made an incredibly lovely couple. Though I couldn't quite place it, I had a sense I had seen him somewhere before. Allie's wedding day was quickly approaching. I traveled to the wedding location that day with Adam and my in-laws. The location was lavishly adorned, evoking the feel of a magazine-featured star wedding, much like Ally. I went to the family table, eager for lunch, but oddly I couldn't find a seat. I searched for my place card with the assistance of my spouse and in-laws, but I was unable to locate it. My name was plainly featured on the seating plan, even after I double-checked the invitation. "Excuse me, but I can't find my seat," I said to a staff member, and they promptly called the manager. The manager replied, "We were informed by the bride that the person for that seat would not be attending." Shocked, I rushed to the bride's room and asked, "Ally, I can't find my seat." Ally, dressed in her wedding gown, turned around reluctantly and said, "Today is my day to be the center of attention. I don't want people I don't wish for here. If you want to participate, pay $10,000. My husband and his parents, who were there, could not hide their shock and collectively condemned her words, saying, "Ally, why would you say that? Quickly prepare her seat. Think before you speak." Following this, Ally hysterically screamed, "Enough, enough, really enough. Dad, Mom, brother, you all spoil your sister-in-law too much." While standing up, she pointed at me and yelled, "What is this? Caring for someone as fat and ugly as an animal? It's really disgusting." At that moment, a man in a tuxedo entered the room, his expression one of surprise at Ally's behavior. He seemed to be the groom, unaware that he had entered the room. Ally continued, "I hate women who are like pigs. There's no place for a neat parasite like you here. Go home now." At that moment, the groom caught a glimpse of my face and exclaimed, "Ah!" His complexion turned pale rapidly as he rushed over to Ally, shouting, "Wait, wait. Ally, what are you doing?" He grabbed her arm and covered her mouth. Ally retorted, "Let me speak. Don't touch my face. You'll ruin my makeup," while trying to shove off his hand. "What's wrong with telling the truth? I don't want to be thought of as related to this person," she said, panting while she straightened her disheveled hair. The groom quietly said, "You don't care if I lose my job, do you?" Ally, with a shocked expression, responded, "What?" and stared intently at the groom's face. Then he turned to me and declared, "This lady here is the renowned illustrator Barbara. She's a significant figure at our company." He shouted assertively, ran towards me, and loudly apologized. "My wife has made an inexcusable mistake." Ally stood there dumbfounded and muttered, "No way." The author of Happy Even If Ugly or Fat. The groom urged her, "Exactly. Apologize now." My job is on the line. Ally still couldn't accept reality and murmured to herself, "No, say it's not true. An illustrator has lots of assistants, right?" Impatient, the groom responded, "These days, most of the work is done on computers, so we don't need a lot of staff." "Now apologize," he demanded sternly while tapping the floor. Ally, still unwilling to accept the truth, looked desperately at her husband and parents. "This is a lie, right? Just someone who looks like her, right? You didn't know either, right?" Brother Adam shook his head and firmly stated, "It's true. You talk too much, so we were asked to keep it a secret. She said she was fine, even if you called her a neat." As Adam spoke, his parents quietly nodded, and Ally muttered with a pale face, "I was the only one who didn't know." The groom pressed her, "Just apologize." But Ally bit her lower lip and stubbornly shook her head. "No, because it's true that she's fat. I haven't done anything wrong." Then the groom approached Ally, held the back of her head firmly, and shouted, "What nonsense are you spouting? Apologize now." As he demanded, her father approached and revealed, "Ally, apologize right now. It was Barbara who settled your debts." Hearing this, the groom, Steve, was surprised and asked, "Deb?" He then began to explain, "It's embarrassing to admit, but my daughter blamed me for her ugliness and demanded money for cosmetic surgery." Ally interrupted him loudly, shouting, "Be quiet. That's not relevant right now." Steve, hearing this for the first time, pressed Ally. "Cosmetic surgery? Ally? Is that true? I wasn't aware of this." Ally, distorting her face, said, "It's a lie. All lies. Dad, what are you saying?" Steve replied, "Don't take it seriously." But her father shook his head and said, "I knew you hadn't told him. You should have known before the wedding. I'm sorry for hiding this." He apologized to Steve. He continued, "However, I now regret providing the funds for the surgery. Barbara has made me realize that," he said, expressing his gratitude towards me. Hearing this, my mother-in-law hesitated before stepping forward. "I regret not stopping it, but I couldn't bear to see you ridiculed by others. Steve, I sincerely apologize. Please forgive us for keeping quiet," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. Steve apologized too. The parents showed confusion but responded generously, "Ah, don't apologize so much. Nowadays, cosmetic surgery is common and changing a little bit is fine." However, Ally stubbornly insisted, "I didn't do any of that." Steve, "Don't believe them." "Mom, why would you say that?" Continuing to deny everything strongly. At that moment, I showed Steve photos of Ally from her childhood and her middle and high school years. I felt it was better to make the facts public than to keep hiding them for her own good and that of her parents. It was against my principles to allow my parents-in-law to be blamed for dishonesty. The images captured a woman whose appearance was significantly different from before. "Looking gloomy. Incredible. Is this Ally?" he exclaimed in shock. "Where did you get these?" Ally attempted to snatch my smartphone, angrily swinging her hand as I dodged her. Steve pointed out, "The fact you're so upset confirms it's true." Caught off guard, Ally's face showed she felt defeated, and she collapsed to her knees. Steve looked on with displeasure. "I received those photos from your father-in-law when he asked me to take over the debt for the surgery costs," I explained. "You didn't invite any friends from before your university days to this wedding, right? That's because of this," I revealed, exposing that Ally had significantly altered her body during her gap year before university. She had changed her eyes, nose, and chin and undergone liposuction, becoming completely unrecognizable. After a moment's thought, Steve approached Ally. "Ally, I'm not upset about the surgery itself, but you should have told me before we got married," he said. Despite Ally's apology, his anger did not subside. "The wedding today is canceled. I need to rethink our marriage," he declared firmly. Ally's eyes widened in shock, and she momentarily lost her words, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Next, the groom, Steve, turned to me and said, "This ends my relationship with her. I hope to maintain a good relationship with your company moving forward." He made this request to me politely. Confused, I responded, "Wanted to hear it said like that? It's as if the cancellation of the marriage is my fault." Steve was clear in his response. "No, I did not expect such disrespect from her. I am disappointed in that, so it is not your fault," he assured me. At that moment, Ally began to cry heavily, saying, "That story, happy even if ugly or fat, I loved it. In high school, I always thought I couldn't be happy unless I was beautiful," and then she burst into loud sobs. Her aggressiveness towards me likely stemmed from jealousy because I was comfortably doing what she could not. She believed her actions were justified, thinking that beautiful people should always be happy, and those who are not should be proven miserable by others' harsh words. Afterward, the wedding was canceled, and Allie quit her job and secluded herself in her room. Who was it that had been despising me as a NEET? She no longer came down to the kitchen, and when food was brought to her, she would quietly say, "I don't need it," refusing to eat at all. Occasionally, I noticed the contents of the refrigerator diminishing, indicating she was eating something, but no one in the family ever saw her leave her room. Adam and his parents were very worried. Unable to bear it any longer, I began drawing a comic book based on her. The story was about a woman who was ridiculed for her looks from a young age, underwent cosmetic surgery, and grasped happiness. The protagonist says, "No matter what you look like, the person who finds happiness wins," ending the story with a smile. Though drawn comically, I hoped it would reach her. I printed it and left it in her room. A few days later, while I was working during the day, she knocked and entered my room. I saw her for the first time in 3 months. She was gaunt, her complexion worsened by a lack of sunlight, and her former brilliance had faded. She handed me my manuscript and pointed to the pre-surgery character in the comic book, saying, "I don't really look this awful." I couldn't help but laugh at her comment and lightly chided, "Don't be so picky," to which she finally showed a smile. It felt like the first time our hearts truly connected. Ally has taken on the role as my helper, helping me with coloring and background elements. Although I used to prefer working alone, working as a team has improved productivity and added tension to our products. Her background as a designer has given our projects a sophisticated touch that our editors really like. We've been coming up with new ideas together lately, and during this creative process, we've forged a strong creative partnership. Unexpected new ideas have emerged as a result of our idea sharing and the blending of different thoughts. Allie and I have very similar beliefs and sensibilities, which makes our working together easy, especially because Allie used to be a big fan of mine. We often rejuvenate ourselves in our free time by going to yoga sessions or working out at a nearby gym. These pursuits improve our creative energy and preserve our health. "Sis, you might want to lose a bit more weight," she firmly says to me every time, and her advice is always uplifting. "Being heavier is more like me," I shot back, but in the past few days, I've been thinking a lot about how my weight affects my health, particularly since I've started experiencing physical discomfort like knee pain. I've tried the eating plans she recommended, and I'm trying to pay more attention to my health. I believe this has helped my skin problem as well. Allie has definitely become more vibrant and brighter since we started working together. She can now work more leisurely and happily because the tight environment she had before has vanished. Maybe she had been suffering from the guilt of having cosmetic surgery in the past for a very long time. Sometimes Adam laughs, "I never thought you two would get along so well," and remarks on how much we've changed. It must have been the goddess of ugliness who brought you together. Now that we've heard this joke, Allie and I actually laugh together, able to view what was once hurtful as a loving jest. "The goddess of ugliness, that's quite a nice ring to it," Allie remarks, drawing the discussion further. However, it's possible that this goddess is a lovely god who unites people with pure hearts. I absolutely concur with her assessment and gleefully reply, "Exactly, Ally. What if we called our upcoming endeavor The Gifts of the Goddess of Ugliness? At this novel concept, Allie brightly nods. With everything at home even more amicable, my in-laws also appear pleased. They appear to be really enjoying these little adjustments every day. My father-in-law came into our busy office one beautiful day and, despite his slight timidity, gave us his sincere appreciation. Many thanks for it. Profoundly affected, he remarked. I never imagined our home could become this bright. With beaming eyes, my mother-in-law expressed how much she loves the family dinners every day, stating, "There's nothing more delicious than meals eaten together." Allie and I are getting ready for tomorrow's chores while savoring the delectable dinner that my mother-in-law has meticulously cooked. It is moments like these that make me feel so grateful. I've come to understand once more how erratic life can be, often leading us in unexpected directions. It's not all negative, though. There are opportunities for fresh perspectives and happiness concealed within. A few months ago, I never would have thought that my relationship with Ally would get to this point. We now improve each other's life by being vital supporters for one another. I will always treasure these times of delectable meals, productive work, and cozy family time. I want to promote the word that everyone can find happiness on their own and inspire everyone to find what makes them happy as we continue to create new stories via our works.